Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMTrading. Today is February 3rd, 2023, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, FAANG stocks and Microsoft rocked the markets higher after earnings season. But first, looking at the major economic events of today. So starting out at 3:30 South African time, out of the United States, we have non-farm payroll numbers coming out for the jobs created last month. Now looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the US dollar slightly stronger versus the major pairs, and then looking at the indices, the NASDAQ rocks and climbs higher while the Dow Jones remains unchanged. Now looking at commodities, gold and oil taper lower. While looking at the stocks specifically, it was the tech stocks that led us higher as spoken about. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin steady after making those gains. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to first take a look at the Euro USD, and you can see this is like the first time we hit that 110, and then we just sold off. It was a nice fade opportunity as we're making that correctional move. Now we're getting to this 109. Now it's still in an upwards momentum. I don't want to say that it's kiboshed it and it's completely taken off, but I'd keep an eye whether or not it's going to continue selling off later today, somewhere between the 30-day and the 8-day moving average, somewhere around there. We've only breached it once before. Okay, so it's not a clear upwards trend, but 110 is psychologically a major number for the euro versus the USD, so that is something to keep note about. Now looking at the other major pairs, GBP USD also, dollar getting stronger here to 122. 123.70-ish level, that's a decent retracement there. Looking at the Australian dollar also. So it's across the board that the dollar got stronger, which is kind of ironic because the US markets got stronger, and usually that's an inverse relationship. Now looking at the commodities before we jump into the indices, gold retracing at 1951 from 1951 to 1916 over the past couple of days, and it's just, kind of faded that move. And now we're just consolidating at this area. 1916, still a gains way away from where we were at 1800, but still, nevertheless, okay, it's still in a position to really retrace, okay, or trade sideways at least for now. So we're at the close to the bottom of that range. 1906 is a better entry point, but at this area, there is a minor supportish level at this area as well. Now looking at crude oil, did taper off lower to 75.68. Now this has been really just trading in a range, $81 to $72, and we're getting closer to that. As you could see, it's $75. That's not a big deal, but nevertheless, a decent opportunity just to play the ranges between $81 and $72, at least in the interim. Now looking at the US markets, look at the Dow Jones, okay? The Dow Jones over the past couple of days has really just been, because we've been working on that the last couple of days, okay, has just been digesting this news over the past couple of days. We had this massive rally up to 34,400, and then we kind of, tapered off, okay, over the last couple of days. We had a spike the other day, you could see that spike. I mean, this is a big range for it to spike. It doesn't look like it, but it is, okay? 34,400 on the top side and 33,700. That's a 700-point move when the FOMC came out with the rate statement and coming right afterwards with that statement. Now, it's really, for all intents and purposes, unchanged. 34,000, really just trading in a very tight range and not trending higher. Okay, that's the important part. Whereas when we look at the NASDAQ, although, look at this. This is trending higher, okay, because the U.S. tech stocks have been very strong, and that's what's been capitulating. And we hit that 12,888, which was resistance-ish area. What's important to note here, a couple of things, okay? On a weekly chart, we're trading way above the 200-day moving average, way above the 30-day moving average, and we're getting to 13,000-ish level, which is really important. Now, looking at a daily, also breaking above the 200-day moving average, that's a very important note. Okay, very, very important to keep that in mind. We are selling off here. I'd like to see whether or not this rally from yesterday is going to carry us through, or it's going to be a fake out breakout. Okay, meaning it kind of spiked and then it's going to take a fade the next day. Now looking at the individual stocks, Apple gained quite nicely, a big gap and go to 150. has been trading, not around this level for quite some time, since November, October time, where we sold off, right? Leading into that. Microsoft, look at that, 264, a nice pivot on the way up, okay? Also on resistance-ish level, okay? Let's see if it could push higher, or is it going to close this gap? Looking at Tesla, continue to move higher, okay? The last couple of days, can't see it on a 4-hour chart, but you can see it better on a 1-hour chart. If we look at Amazon, look at that, also pushed higher, gapped up, okay, but capitulating here at the top of a range, not the top of the range. It would have probably been a 120 if it was at the top of the range. Google also moving higher to 108. Okay, so they all gained yesterday. The question is whether or not this gain is sustainable, or whether we're going to fill in the gap. Fill in the gap implies that we're going to go from 108 down to 101. That would fill in the gap. And normally that takes us, and that's a real rally, because then if it does take us back to 108, then there's real buyers in the market. Okay, that's what you got to keep an eye on. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, trading at 23,492, holding on to its gains. And let's see if it can continue holding on to its gains and perhaps even push higher. Okay, I'm biased on this on the upside a little bit, just because it's back into momentum. It's back into play, so to speak. And so it could still push higher. Remember, 24,700 is resistance-ish level, and we just touched 24,000 earlier in the week. So that's an important element to keep on display. This is Razak. I wish you guys a great trading day and a beautiful weekend.